Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's Friday. Hope you guys had a great week. It was actually a fun week for Bitcoin. Stock market was down for the most part. Nasdaq was up. Bitcoin was obviously up. Some of the miners were up. Some of the miners were down. Marathon was up huge. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin, obviously the chart, see what's going on there. We'll also take a look at the miners, see how they performed today. We'll also take a look at a video from Riot, which with the CEO of Jason Less, did an AMA on Reddit. Excuse me, and he provided his feedback or his responses on the video. So we'll take a look at two things in there that I wanted to kind of go over. I watched the whole video; it's actually pretty good. And then we'll obviously call it a day with also looking at DMG for June production. The information was kind of hidden a little bit. Caught it today, so we'll get into it as well. But as always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure, so you guys are aware of that. And let's excuse me. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here right now on what's going on with it, and we'll get into the other news. So Bitcoin right now is obviously up a little bit. It's about 0.69 right now on Bitstamp, about 0.78 on Coinbase. So it's up at 21,793. On the short time frame, on the 1 hour time frame chart, we're seeing that it's still pretty bullish right now. We've seen that the RSI has come way down to the 56, 57 mark, but the price has obviously gone up or stayed flat a little bit. But we're seeing that still reversal that we've seen before with the bearish. Now we're seeing more bullish, which is good. But I'm just not seeing it here on the daily chart yet. We need, I think, more days. Excuse me. The other thing that we're looking at here is the red line, which is the 200-day moving average, 200 weekly moving average. And we are battling with it today at least. So it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of days whether or not we are able to punch above it. If we do punch above it, I think we might be going higher to around 30,000, maybe 32,000 to the previous highs here that we had. And then obviously that will be a good sign, and we'll see where we end up from there. But right now, short-term bullish, long-term still unknown. Can't figure it out just yet based on what we have right now. So I think we need a couple more weeks probably to figure out if we're looking, long-term bullish or not. Ethereum is at 1,225, so it is obviously following suit with Bitcoin a little bit. It has dropped down a little bit here in the last hour or so, but it is also battling with the 200-day moving average, looks like, and hopefully that can get above it as well on the daily chart. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's following suit of Bitcoin, so whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum pretty much follows on it. Let's take a look at the miners here really quick, and we'll get into the news that I wanted to cover with you guys. So here we go. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. All right, perfect. So we can see obviously the S&P 500 was down a little bit today. Dow Jones was down. Nasdaq was obviously up. Bitcoin we know was up a little bit here on the day. And the miners now. So ANY was actually up 5.41% to 74 cents. And then we also have Argo. Argo was pretty much flat on the day to 44 cents. Bit Digital was up 5.73% to $1.66. Bitfarms was up 2.26% to $1.36. Core Scientific was up 3.3% to $1.88. No trades in the after hours. DigiHost was actually down 2.48% to $1.18. And DMG was up 1.73% to 21 cents. No trades in the after hours. Hive was Hive was actually down 0.55% to $3.62. Hut 8 was up 1.87 to $1.63. Iris Energy was up 4.95% to $3.82. Luxfolio was down 2.15% to 10 cents. And Marathon was up 21.4% to $8.51. And I think the reason Marathon was up was basically based on the news that they provided yesterday for their June production update, where they had like over 2.6 exahash waiting to get energized if and when Compute North got the tax break, or I'm having a hard time remembering that term. It's not tax relief. It's you know what I mean. They're just waiting on that. If they get that, then they'll be set to go for it. And I think that's why investors are kind of piling into Marathon right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if Marathon pulls back next week. Possibly, we could see another drop in at 23%, depending on how things go. Mawson was down 1.74% to $1.13. And Riot was up 3.41% to $5.46, up a little bit more in the after hours right now. And Stronghold was up 1.03% to $1.97. So there's all the miners there. Let's take a look at Marathon here really quick. And we can see obviously it started pumping early in the morning and then continued going up. So obviously had a good day on it. It had a great day yesterday as well. So it is up nicely in the last couple of days here. So congrats to anybody that got in on the low on Marathon. And let's take a look at the video here from Jason and Riot, and we'll call it a day. Well, we still got DMG to look at. So the video came out today, and it's from their AMA that they did on, I believe it was, gosh, what is that platform called? Reddit. On Reddit. And they provided the answers to it here in the video. So this is actually really good. I recommend you guys watch the whole thing. A lot of good answers to a lot of good questions, and it's definitely worth the watch. But I wanted to cover immersion cooling here and their executive compensation and ownership. I thought those two were kind of important, and I wanted to talk to have you guys take a listen at it, and I'll provide you my feedback and also some other information as well. So let's get going here. Here we go.
What is the recognized performance increase from immersion cooling? Now, before we publish our results for this, we view it as important to get a lot of months of data operating in different environments. Increasing the performance metrics of a machine to whatever degree we decide to do that is an important decision, and we want to make sure we have a lot of data before we make that type of decision and before we start communicating those type of results to the market. I can tell you what other mining companies or researchers have observed utilizing the S19 and immersion cooling. Brains did a pretty extensive study on this, which you can check out on their blog. And using the stock power supply with the S19, they were able to increase hash rate by about 25% without any loss of efficiency when utilizing immersion cooling. As a side note, the X19 series miners are very sensitive to their temperature and how efficient they operate. So utilizing tools like immersion cooling and keeping the miners operating at cooler temperatures helps drive a low efficiency rating for those machines, which is important. Also in the brain study, they were able to achieve as much as a 50% increase in hash rate. However, that does require using a third-party power supply. The stock power supply that comes with the S19 doesn't have that level of power capacity. So there's the potential to reach that type of performance increase as well, but it would require, like I said, a good amount of performance data first to be safe pushing the machine to that level, and also would require procuring another power supply, which wouldn't be too hard of a task to accomplish.
Okay, so that was actually really good. It's kind of in line with what I've been talking about, that you could get at least 20, 25, 30% increase in hash rate from it. So, and then here's kind of, he's talking about pulling the data. They're not having the data released just yet because they want to have several months worth of data that they can, review, figure out what is actually the best blend of, here we go. What is the best blend of increasing the power on the units to see what the kind of hash rate they're getting and also the temperatures. So imagine this, you got an immersion cooling system here. You got a couple miners in here that are, floating in this coolant. And what they're doing here is they're basically starting out with factory settings on these miners. Factory settings, and what they're looking at is the current power draw, right? So you can figure out that, and you can also monitor it. Power draw on the units, you want to look at the current hash rate, see how they are hashing, and you want to look at the temps, right? And eventually what you want to do, temps, and eventually increase the power to those chips to get a higher hash rate, see where they are hashing at, and then look at the temps. And what you're going to get is you're going to get these kind of three graphs that are going to, show you the hash rate, the power, and what's the increase in the temps. And you're going to try to find that kind of sweet spot in all of these three with all that data that you're going to have, and then base that on whether you're going to be up, 25 to 28% up in efficiencies and hash rate power based on what is the sweet spot for that power draw, temps on the machines, and everything else. So it's going to take obviously a little bit of time for them to get to that. So that was actually really good to know, and hopefully we'll get that information within the next couple of months here. I would possibly expect to see that by the end of this current quarter that we're in, Q3. That would be actually really good. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting also was his explanation on executive compensation and ownership based on stock compensation. And his response shed a lot of light on it, and I actually liked it really, really much. And let's get into it here right now. So here is his response to compensation.
So next question, a lot of comments about executive comp. So let me once again kind of wrap that all up in one response here. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what some of the commenters are seeing on our 10K, on our proxy material for our compensation summary. So first off, substantially all of our equity compensation is performance-based. And in fact, substantially all of our compensation in general is performance-based. That means that we have to achieve specific metrics to get these awards.
Okay, I actually really like this, and I've been saying this for quite a while, that I want to see compensation based on performance and getting to certain goals, and it looks like they are doing it. So that really makes me like Riot a lot more now. And I wish the other companies would explain it as well, as far as what are their metrics and what's the goals that they have to reach in order to get a certain percentage of the compensation. But we'll continue on here. It's a good explanation.
Now, for reporting purposes, what you see on these summary tables is the total value of these grants, the total opportunity in the program at the start of the program, at the share price at that time, which was $36 a share. The share price is obviously much less now. However, the awards are denominated in shares. These awards that we receive from this performance program are fixed denominated shares. And we are only achieving these awards if we achieve specific performance metrics. So once again, what you're seeing on the 10K, on the summary compensation table in our proxy statement, that is not compensation that we have received. Rather, that was the value of all the awards in the program at the start. So how do we achieve these awards? There's two main targets that we go after. One is building infrastructure and filling that with hash rate, monetizing that to the benefit of the company. That's significant value creation. The other is achieving different milestones of financial results measured by adjusted EBITDA. So to get the full benefit of this program, we would have to have built 1.5 gigawatts of Bitcoin mining infrastructure. So that would be, looking at the current hardware in the market, that would be about 50 exahash. And we'd have to achieve an adjusted EBITDA in a given year of 500 million. Obviously, that is significantly higher than what we've achieved in the past. So these are big targets to hit, and we only receive this equity compensation if we are achieving these awards. And I've been saying we because I think it's also important to note that this is something that everyone in our company participates in. This is not just a CEO or executive only thing. Every employee in our company is a part of this performance program, incentivized to expand our Bitcoin mining operations, and incentivized to increase our financial results. Everyone on our team plays a part of that, and everyone on our team is therefore incentivized to succeed in these goals. Taking in all this information, I saw comments of management is receiving these equity awards and only owns 1% of the company. So remember, these equity awards were not actually received. What's reported is the total opportunity in the program. So it is not that management received this quantum of awards that we no longer own. We have not earned these awards yet. And the fact is, these awards are challenging to earn. They're somewhat difficult to earn. And if we succeed on these, if we build 1.5 gigawatts of infrastructure in total, operating an estimated 50 exahash, if we achieve 500 million in adjusted EBITDA, those are ambitious goals. And in completing those goals, we would be creating significant value from shareholders. So we believe by completing these goals that shareholders would be benefiting from the result of these accomplishments.
Okay, so great information, obviously, from Les here, or from Jason. So I just want to say thank you for putting this out. This is obviously very informational. And so basically what we're looking at here is specific targets, exahash of 50 exahash, EBITDA of about 500 million. And obviously that it's all for everyone. It's not just for the senior management or anything like that. It's everybody that's on the floor that's putting in the miners and everything else. So this is really good. I really, really like this a lot. It makes me like, obviously, Riot even more. The interesting thing that he noted there was that they have not received anything yet. So maybe they have milestones where they have to reach, 500 5 exahash per second, or possibly then 10, 15, 20. So they might have this kind of structure where they are possibly going to be getting that coming up here, which is fine. If they're reaching those milestones and everything else, I'm perfectly fine with getting compensation when it's due, when you do reach them. So this is actually really good. So I highly recommend you guys check out the rest of the video here. I think it's actually really good, and it's definitely well worth your time here. A lot of good information and a lot of good questions that were answered on it. So you can find the video at Riot Blockchain's YouTube page, and it was just uploaded today if you wanted to take a look at it. But I highly recommend it. All right, let's take a look at DMG here. So DMG, like I said, provided their information for June, buried it a little bit in a press release that was released 2 days ago. This was from the press release. DMG granted crypto patent based on machine learning for wallet score AML technology, released on Wednesday, July 6th. And it was buried way down on the bottom here of it. And here's our June preliminary mining results. So not a lot of information here. So they did mine 76 Bitcoin. They grew to 680 petahash. And they are still on track to be at 1 exahash by the end of 2022, subject to the receipt, installation, operation of the additional miners that are supposed to come online. Excuse me. No mention of BTC HODL or how many they sold. So we're just going to go by the information that we currently do have for them, which is over here. So here's what we got. DMG blockchain, obviously 164 million shares out. Stock price currently is at 22 cents, so that's about 36 million in market cap. Institutionally, it's owned by about 2%, and 11 institutions do own shares of DMG. 52-week high in the stock was $1.35. 52-week low was 17 cents. They are currently at 680 petahash, and future hash rate is going to be 1 exahash right now. So they're about 65% operational. We have about 6,800 miners at 100 terahash, the average speed for them. So they're pretty recent miners here that they have. BTC HODL, the only thing that we have for them is obviously that it was reported back on their Q1 financial report. So that's kind of the only thing that we have to go by on that one. And that's worth about 8 million right now. And it is about 22% of their HODL to market cap right now, and each share has about 5 cents of HODL in it. Now going to their BTC production, so obviously 76 BTC produced in June. We had a sizable dip here in May of 48, and then obviously a nice production run in April of 88. So they're starting to come back up. We did have 0.1118 BTC produced per petahash, and that was obviously higher than in May, but not as high as it was in April. April was really good of 1.468. And we're looking to be possibly having them make about 1.5 million based on the end of June's Bitcoin price that I'm using. It might be a little bit higher here based on the simple fact that I estimated in the first quarter they'd be at about 8.6, 8.7 million. In revenue, they were actually 9.2 or so. So we know that they're possibly using the daily price of Bitcoin instead of just a static number at the end of the month to get their numbers. And that's it, what we're looking at right now. The miners that got installed in June, we added a couple miners here. So we added these 100 terahash miners here. And we also added some of these down here, the remaining 551 of the 100 terahash miners down here as well. So those are all filled out. Those are done. So we still have a couple. We still have, how many more do we have here? We got about 1,080 left of the 100 terahash miners, and then we're supposed to be getting in the 140 terahash miners, which will be coming in sometime after July, possibly maybe a little bit later, based on all the challenges in the supply chain right now. So we'll see how that plays out. And we do have them right now at about 1.5 million or so. I did have to drop them down a couple of days to get it to that 1.5 million mark based on the number of BTC that they mined. Institution-wise, we do have them at the same number of institutions, so 11 from June as we do now. Shares did increase a little bit by about 140,000 shares by institutions, and it did increase the percent of ownership to 2.01%. We still have one buy rating on them, and the price target did go down quite a bit, about half from where it was at $1.59 in June. It's now 77 cents across the board for high, average, and low. And that's kind of in line with what we were seeing here in the market with Bitcoin being way down. A lot of the price targets are being cut on a lot of the miners. Going back up to the numbers here, based on where they are, and they're at 65% installed already. they don't have much more growth. So ideally, we want to see them come out and say, hey, we're going to be, growing our infrastructure. We're going to be getting more miners, especially with miners being so cheap now. It kind of makes sense to get more miners. So we'd love to see them obviously do that. We'll see if that actually happens. But right now, I'm looking at maybe if Bitcoin starts pumping, we could get to a PE of 13, and that's based on the last 3 quarters and this quarter, which would give them a combined total of about 29, 30 million or so in revenue. And that would give us obviously 75% net income from gross revenue, would give us 22 million to play around with, and that would give us basically P of 13 would be $1.77. They're at 22 cents right now, but I could definitely see them being around 10 to 13 PE based on just their small growth here that they have upcoming. So that's where I would put them. Obviously, a good month for them. Obviously, we're able to get their BTC back up production-wise. Got more miners installed, which is good, and obviously they are going to continue to grow. So they're firing on all 6-8 cylinders. So that's good. Nothing to really complain about. And I wish them all the best. Hopefully they can continue to execute like they have been executing. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy it, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. The spreadsheet is, as always, available to my Patreon members. And thank you very much to those guys for their continued support there. It means a lot to me. And what else do we have going on? Tomorrow we'll do the Bitcoin versus miners video. We'll finish that up tomorrow sometime. We'll see if there's anything else that we want to talk about other than that. The only thing that's happening now is next week I'm going to be off. We're traveling. The Griswolds are going on vacation, family road trip. I'm going to take a laptop with me. I'm going to try to record some videos if anything comes out. I don't know how well it's going to work. I don't know how my internet speed is going to be, so we're going to try. But if you guys don't see a video from me from like Monday through Friday next week, you know why. I'm not dead. I'm just on vacation. But I'll try to provide you guys with some updates, whether it's through Twitter or here, figure something out. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one.